Just because I love you, it don't mean I trust you. Everybody not to be trusted. Everybody around me thugging. Everybody around me drugging. Everybody around me hustling. Everybody know not to bring no new riggin' around me. They say I be bugging. Got racks in the go-yard luggage. Just cause I love you, it don't mean I trust you. Everybody not to be trusted.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Quentin Flores, and this is Uncut with Q, where we talk about all things business, entrepreneurship, overcoming hardships, mindset, and all the above. If this is your first time listening, we have a small fee for the show. It's very simple. If you get value from the show, share the show. We love that the people that are continuously listening to this, which I call fans, because at this point, I'm a fan of my own show. I listen to every episode. We're 60 plus episodes in at this point, and I'm just excited, man. I'm excited. But if you get value from this show, please do us a favor. Just share the crap out of this show. All right. So guys, I have different shows that I do on this show. And the different shows are me and my friend Trey, we surf the internet. We're going to be doing more of that. It's been a while. I think it's been 20 episodes since we've done that. And we talk shit about things that we see on the internet. Me and Mitzi go over deep dives into psychology and mindset. That show's called Mindset with Mitzi. It's hosted here on our show. She's going to be starting her own podcast soon. So you guys make sure you tap into her. And then, we have this, right, where I do real talk, where I talk about some real ass shit from my mind. And then we bring on a guest or we do a Q&A. So there's so many different shows, guys. I recommend that you look up every single episode that we've done in this podcast. A lot of them are very relevant and they can benefit you. So go get some value. With that being said, man, today is one of those shows where it is a full-length episode. I have an amazing guest here with me, and she's actually been on my podcast before I even knew what the hell to call the podcast. This is the actual solidified, newly invented, improved podcast that we do now. So, dude, for all of my people that are listening to this, because just so you know, we're top 1% in America when it comes to entrepreneurship. So we get tens of thousands of downloads on the podcast. By the way, go to YouTube and show us love. We've been getting very little love on YouTube. All the love that we get is on audio, but this is somebody that you guys are going to want to see because she's gorgeous. So introduce yourself to the world.
My name is Tadi, go by Tadi Virtual. I am a virtual wholesaler and a real estate investor. And I'm back here after over 2 years.
Yeah.
When I met Q the first time and he put me on his YouTube channel. And that actually catapulted everything that I'm doing now. So thank you back then. And thank you again for having me. Like, I'm super excited. And I mean, your growth is just crazy. I was literally just sitting here like, dude, is this real right now? Like, you've done so much. I'm super impressed. You're somebody I've always admired. So I'm really happy to be here right now.
I'm happy to have you. You know, I've always admired from afar, and I love what you do, you know. And I know you're all the way out in Vegas, right?
Yep.
And you're closing real estate deals in other states.
Yes.
I just think that's freaking mind blowing, you know. And you've accomplished so much in a very short period of time. And you're a mom, and you're doing so many things. At the time when I first did it, you only had one kid, right?
Actually, when I came here, I was pregnant with my daughter.
Oh my God.
But I didn't say anything because I didn't want that to be, the girl that's pregnant. So I just kept it a secret until way later.
I didn't know that. That's what's up, you know? So here we are.
Yeah, so now I have 2 kids. I have a 2-year-old girl. She's going to turn 2 next week. And I have a 6-year-old son.
I think that's beautiful. And you do so much for them. You have an amazing business and an amazing structure, and I'm excited to go in and deep dive onto that. So, dude, Tadi, for my listeners that don't know, tell them a little bit about where you come from. How'd you grow up?
So I'm the first person in my family that was born in America. My family's from Ethiopia. My dad was a soldier, and they came here on political asylum. So
Wow.
I grew up really, really poor, food stamps. You know, my parents stayed together until I was about 12. It wasn't an easy life, but we were the kind of family that went to church, every Sunday, Wednesday, sometimes Thursday. So it gave me a really good foundation, a good moral foundation, I'll say. Then as I got older, I was growing up in Vegas. So I did the typical Vegas party stuff. I'm going to clubs when I'm 16.
Oh, wow.
Experimenting with drugs, drinking, things like that. But that, I would say that moral foundation that my dad and my mom set always was still there in the back of my mind. So when I got pregnant with my son, the guy that I got pregnant with at the time, we got married, and I completely stopped everything. I was only 21. So
Wow.
I got married when I was 21, had my son, and my life changed. My kid changed my life. And I basically just was waitressing, just doing regular jobs. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I would save money and then spend it all on the next thing. But I never had any kind of grit or tenacity. I'd buy some program, I'd spend a bunch of money, and then I would not do anything with it.
Oh my God.
So
that's a lot of people though, you know?
it was a cycle. So I did like 6 different businesses. I failed everything as I was waitressing. And then when COVID happened, I got laid off, and it was pretty much, you know, my back was against the wall. And that's when I had to get serious. And I found out about wholesaling. You, Jerry Norton, you know, all the people on YouTube. I was watching videos and just got on the dialer and started doing deals. And it's just crazy how, like you said, it's been a short amount of time, but I think, I don't know, something about wholesaling real estate. It feels like it's been like 10 years for me.
Yeah. I think that's business in general. I've been doing this, the wholesaling side, real estate side. We do it all. I've done every deal under the moon. What I will say is, it's like riding a bike, you know? Now anywhere that you are, there's a bike that's present. You can hop on it and you know what to do. You find a house in any neighborhood, it's an opportunity, and somebody presents it. They say they want to sell their property. You just know what to do because you've been able to educate yourself on the paperwork. You know, I think it's a beautiful thing too, because now your family can come to you for real estate advice if they need it, because you're so well versed in it. You know what I mean? Now, I know you told me that you live in Las Vegas, but you're doing deals somewhere else. Where's this virtual market, or how many are you in?
So first I started in Cleveland. Originally I tried to do it in Vegas, and I just found so many challenges. I said, okay, let me try something else. So I started in Cleveland, Ohio. When I met you, I did about 13 deals there in like 5 months, I think it was. And
Wow.
I said, okay, let me pick another market. And I tried to pick a very similar market. I chose St. Louis. I made a mistake though. I didn't just wholesale there. I started trying to buy properties, and they weren't right for me, you know, for a lot of reasons. I'm sure you know, the cheap properties and all the work, and it didn't make sense. So when I actually learned about real estate and not just wholesaling, I ended up selling those, and then I added virtual markets in places that I actually want to buy. So now we still do Cleveland and St. Louis, but I've added Central Florida, Georgia outside of Atlanta, and then Texas here. So it's been
awesome.
exciting.
I think that's amazing. I'm just like mind blown, man. Are you still? When I first talked to you, you were a solo operation. Are you still like running your business lean and just doing it yourself?
It's still lean. I've made so many mistakes, Q. It's not even funny. Like throughout these last 2 years, I've tried to have like 10 cold callers, and you know, like I've tried to scale really fast. And we did a lot of deals, but there was still a lot of people to pay, so that didn't really make sense.
Yeah.
So I have a partner now. I handle lead gen, dispositions, and all that stuff, and he handles like the acquisition side. And we have 3 lead managers, 2 closers, a dispo girl, and a dispo cold caller. So it's still lean enough, you know. Like 3 of them are outsourced VAs overseas, so it's not anything crazy, but it's enough people to do what we need to get done.
You know, that's what I love about this type of business model. Is it like, I think a lot of people, there's a lot of fluff in the market when it comes to what it takes to run a successful real estate operation. When I first got into the business, I went to my first seminar that was pretty big. I was a speaker at it, right? So I spoke on stage, but everybody else that spoke before me talked about their big wholesale boiler room operations. And none of them have those operations anymore. Everybody's running stupid lean right now. And, you know, I was taught that you should get 50 dialers and then have 50 sales reps or 50 cold caller VAs. And then you buy a list of 100,000 high equity absentee owner records, and then you skip trace all of them. And then you run through that list and you close whatever it is that you find. You run through it multiple times. I think that is like 90% of every single wholesaler that was quote unquote successful at that time. I ended up trying to do that. And so the 2019, I had a giant boiler room, almost 30 plus sales reps.
Dang.
We had a 10,000 square foot office that I was leasing out of a building. And I just thought like, man, this wave is always going to be there. But in 2019, it started to die down toward the end of the year. Plus I was in the middle of throwing my first real estate convention, which is called Ground Zero. And that was in 2020, a little bit before I met you. You know, because then COVID happened the following month,
Yep.
almost like, you know, I think 3 years ago today, COVID was like, you can't go outside anymore. And I was like, well,
literally
fuck.
to this day, yeah.
Wow.
It was.
Well,
It's
shit.
crazy.
March 20th, man, the whole fucking world shut down, dude. And so I was just like, you know, in my head, I was just like, how is this going to make sense? Because my overhead is like 80K, but we're making 80K every month.
Wow.
Overhead 80K, we're making 80K. How are these gurus sustaining it? And in my head, I was like, oh, wow. They have education businesses and these things are really just for show. That was like the kicker for me. And that's when I realized I burned through all that money. I had to downsize my whole operation. I meet my mentor, and my mentor tells me, is like, Q, there's no reason to have that many people in a real estate company. And I said, well, how many do you use? He's like, well, we make over $200 to $300 million a year in our real estate business. He says that like it's such a nonchalant number, but when I speak about it, because I have friends that do this now at that caliber, like those numbers aren't scary to me, and I know that they're achievable now, having made 13 million over the last, I'd say, year.
Wow.
Like that's where I've been able to elevate at this point. But
that's crazy.
It wasn't like that at all. Like when I first met him, I just thought there was strength in numbers. Now there is, but you have to be able to consolidate efforts and run lean. It doesn't take the whole world to take on a business model. You just need 5 or 6 people that know what the fuck they're doing that are willing to take on the world with you. And that's one of the things that I was just totally sleeping on. So shut down that office, fired half my staff, brought 8 people that I know that are phenomenal, and I have 6 VAs. That's all it takes to run a real estate business. My overhead went from being 80K a month. I pay 15, 16K a month with office and everything included. And we're bringing in anywhere between 6 to 7 figures every other year. Like 6 figures a month, 7 figures every year. And so that's just from wholesaling, which is actually the least profitable thing that I do. No, it sounds hilarious. Like, how is that?
Actually, I kind of figured with all this going on that you've not grown out of wholesaling, but it's become one of the smaller things for you.
Well, there's a lot of power and presence. That's insane. The influence, there's a lot, you know, and it's not so much as having a presence, because anybody can have a brand. You know, my friend Ryan Pineda, he has a brand. My guy Brad Lee, he has a brand. And then there's Liver King. He has a brand.
Right.
I've eaten raw liver because I've seen Liver King stuff. I also ate bull testicles. It's wild.
Oh,
I know, God. I'm telling you this, but that's how powerful social media can be.
Is.
I even bought all of his supplements. Ancestral supplements is what they're called. I bought all of them.
So much stuff off social media.
Bro, and so like you start looking at that and I'm like, man, if I'm consuming like this, why wouldn't somebody want to consume something that I am able to give to them, right? And so we opened up a whole bunch of different things. I have a warehousing business that I run. I have almost 300 online stores that I'm currently managing. I have over 500 virtual assistants in another country. We have this production company as well, and the podcast brings in so many people. We have an educational mastermind business. Me and Aaron own it. It's called Accelerated Wealth, and we like helping people build where they're at, you know, and that has been the most profitable thing that I've ever done. So when I introduced my mentor on stage, and I don't know if you caught this, but I'll say it again. He said, Q told all you guys that I'm in the business of building houses. I'm not in the business of building houses. I'm in the business of building people.
Yeah, I did.
That was a beautiful thing, because he's true. It's true. It's true. And you can move mountains when you understand that. I've made so much money over the last 12 months, and it's because of my gift and ability to be able to help other people make money around me. Because it's like that one story about the corn farmer. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
I'll tell you if you like on this podcast. I like to educate while you're here, because I want to at least give you some game, because we don't see each other often.
I know. No, I'm here for this.
You're good. You're good. And I want to deep dive on your business real fast, but I'll give you this one thing, right? There was this farmer, and every single year he won the award, first place trophy for the best grown corn in his crop. And it was out of the entire fair, the entire county that he lived in. So the county sends a local news lady over there to go and interview him, and she drives up to his big ass farm, and he's tending to his crop. And she comes up to him and she says, "Hey, Mr. So-and-so, I came here to ask you, the news team wanted to know, how do you make such amazing corn every single year that allows for you to win these trophies year after year after year?" And he smiles as he's tending to his crop, and he says, "I share my seeds with my neighbor." And she's like, "What? Okay, can you expand on that? Because I don't understand. Why would you want to do that? If you shared your seed with your neighbor, aren't you afraid that they're going to grow better corn than you?" And he smiles even bigger, and he tells her, he's like, "Look, ma'am, stops tending to his corn for a second, looks at her dead in the eyes. He says, you don't understand how corn works. If my neighbors are to grow inferior corn, that would severely degrade the value of my corn. Why? Is because if my neighbors are to grow inferior corn, cross-pollination would pick up in the sky and wave their inferior corn around my crop, which would severely devalue and degrade my corn. Isn't that insane? And so he's like, so if you want to know my secret, I share my seeds with my neighbors so that they can grow good corn too. Because the glory of one crop is bound with the glory of all. And so that's with our lives. The glory of one successful person is bound with what that successful person is willing to do for everyone else.
Wow, that is like, it's so profound, and it's so different from, you know, what you hear all the time where people say, oh, you know, don't turn back to help others until you've so-called made it. But it's so hard to figure out, you know, when is made it.
Well, see, made it is not attached to a dollar value. It's not. It's not. If I find a seed in a piece of corn, I can grow a crop with one seed. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like the money is the second thing that follows. First, you have to become a person of value. Then the money follows. And so it happens that way. People see me and they see things that I have done and they want help with their businesses. So I help them make more money in their businesses. By doing so, I get paid for these services, which is a beautiful thing. If I have somebody in my, I have somebody in my mentorship. I have somebody in my, his name is Rudy Paez. He's in my mentorship right now. Shout out to Rudy if you're listening to this. I love you. He's been my student for 3 months and he's made $600,000.
Wow.
He paid me 25 grand to make 600 grand.
That's amazing.
Is that not an insane ROI on your money?
It is.
Right? But you become a person of value. I didn't have to, he's paying for the expertise and the time frame, right? But everybody's valuable. Everybody has a gift that they've given them. It took me a long time to realize that God blessed my voice and how I speak and how I can articulate a message far beyond, because I've always been a good reader and a good speaker, before he ever gifted me with the ability to make money. So this right here is one of the things that I'm able to do for people. I can go inside of your soul and I can help you become a better human being, because it took me a lot of internal work. This is things that I figured out over the last 2 to 3 years that I haven't even seen you, Tadi.
I know.
Is that it's just, there's a lot of internal things that people haven't figured out. I've helped people have breakthroughs the same way my mentor has helped people have breakthroughs. I've helped people make money in their businesses and restructure their systems that give them more freedom to spend time with the people that they love. And it's been a fucking journey, man. I never wanted to be seen as a guru. I always thought that, you know, those guys are full of shit, dude. Like, those dudes aren't doing anything. You see, there's a huge difference between somebody who is actually doing the business, who actually has tangible evidence and also has a realistic action plan in place with predictability, versus someone who's just flexing on Instagram that they have Lamborghinis and they're standing in front of cars and big bags of money. That's not sustainable. That's not sustainable. People don't want to see what you have. People want to see how you live.
Definitely.
And when they see how you live, it's way different. You go to my Instagram right now, there's never a day where I'm not at the gym. I was there after the event. There's never a day where I'm not with someone that I'm helping, you know, that I'm not trying to create a product that I feel that the marketplace needs. You know, my mentor taught me this, and I'm going to share it with you, and then let's deep dive into some more stuff about you. But anytime I'm on a podcast, I have to give game.
I love it.
My mentor told me, you know, that he was in competition, that he had 4 competitors. He has a company called Zia Homes, and Zia Homes is a brand new construction company, right? So they construct whole neighborhoods. He builds whole neighborhoods and acquires whole neighborhoods. He'll buy the acres, lay down the foundation for it, name the streets, everything. All of this in El Paso, right?
That's
so
awesome.
It's a very booming market. They have multiple military bases. More are getting built probably, and there's a lot of people that are moving here. So this is what he does. He builds these neighborhoods, right? And so he was telling me that during COVID, it was hard for him to get lumber at a discounted price. But he had a lot of money, and he made a lot of money throughout the years that the market was thriving, because between 2015 and 2019, the market was booming. 2020, it like went to the sky, and you were able to buy properties and sell them for like 40, 50K above retail. So he was able to capitalize on that opportunity. However, he told me this, you know, it's just like everybody that I was competing with was fighting over the price of lumber.
Yes.
right? And so why am I going to continue to compete when I can figure out a way that I can capitalize on the need in the space to help these other people that are also my competitors so that their businesses stay sustainable? Guess what he did? He bought the only lumber company that's in El Paso that manufactures lumber. And he bought that bitch at like, I think he bought into it at like 70% of the owner was struggling to get lumber, connected them with a wholesale supplier out in Colorado that was, Colorado full of trees, pushing massive lumber over there. And then with this one connection was able to drop the price of lumber significantly to where it was at when the market was healthy, and then redistribute that lumber not only to his own company now because he's getting a better deal because he is the owner of the lumber. He's getting it at pennies on the dollar. He was able to sell it for a 20 to 30% markup in price and still beat the other guys that were selling lumber outside of El Paso. And guess who he sold the lumber to?
All his own competition.
All of his competitors. And guess what made him more money? Was it building the houses?
No, selling them the lumber.
Selling them the lumber. So then who made the money in the gold rush? The people who dug for the gold or the ones who sold the shovels?
That's a really smart thing. And he literally gave his seeds away to his neighbors.
Isn't that something? If you would have thought about a shovel business and the gold rush of San Francisco, right, whenever that happened, think about that. Who made more money? The ones who found the gold or the ones who built the shovel businesses? There's a need in a space. You understand that need and you capitalize on it all the time because I know that you coach and you mentor too, and that you have your program, you have your courses, and then you have all of the resources that you've been able to develop. I did not know that that would be the center of the wealth that I would create over the last 12 to 18 months. I was so selfish. I just didn't want to share anything with anybody. Now I just try to figure out ways to make people's businesses better. I'm coming out with a CRM for wholesale real estate people, and it's called Jarvis. I have not announced this on a podcast before. I would love to give you free access to this CRM.
I would love to try it out.
It's amazing. Jarvis is based on Tony Stark's Iron Man's computer, his supercomputer. It's called Jarvis. It's pretty badass. So, the Jarvis helps him solve all of his problems and helps him stay organized. So when we wanted to name our CRM, we wanted to think of something cool. Aaron and I built it together. That's really and it's been in development for the last year and a half, and we're launching it, I believe, next week. So
next
this is
week, congratulations. It's
thank you.
huge.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking awesome.
I'm excited that you decided to announce it on the podcast I'm on.
Oh, dude, for sure, because I know you're in the space. So I'm going to give Tadi free access to it. We'll probably do another podcast where you're going to follow up on it, man. I would love to try it out.
That is awesome. And I love you and Aaron's brotherhood. Like coming here and seeing you guys a couple years ago and then, seeing everything.
We've had a falling out before. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah.
I would have never known because
Aaron
you guys
and I
like literal brothers.
Went at it on social media over some BS. And it was such a big thing, and we stopped talking for like a whole year. Yeah, him and a lot of other people too that are local here that are not my friends that are using my services. That's crazy too. It's a lot of growth that happens when you have forgiveness in your life. Because we were not compatible. That version of me was not compatible with a lot of people. I had to heal myself and then revisit who I was and then come back to who I am now, who is now more congruent with what I want for myself and for my family.
One thing I have to say though, maybe you weren't your best self when I met you last time, but you definitely weren't selfish because right after your event, you took me to your office, you opened up your call tools, your dialer, your CRM. You literally spent an hour and a half breaking down your entire business so that I could get better because I was a one-woman show and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just calling people and closing deals, Q. And you were like, you know what? I got you. This is going to be fast. So take as much notes and record as much as you can. And you sat there and you just.
I remember that. I like those intimate settings, though. To me, man, I get a lot more done. We're doing a deep dive mastermind. May 27th and 29th. I'm booking an entire 9,000 square foot mansion in Lake Travis.
Wow.
I'd love to have you come and be a speaker for this thing again.
I would love
to talk about virtual wholesaling at the event.
I would love to.
It seats about like 50 people, so it's going to be tight knit. Everybody that's there, it is a high ticket thing. This isn't like one of those, pay $97 and come to a convention and then pray to God that you get value from it. This is like you're making a real investment, so you're gonna pay attention, know. But we're all staying in the same place. And we're all learning the same things. And everybody that's going to be there, we're talking about an actual breakthrough. There's a hot tub that fits like 15 in it.
That's amazing.
There's a whole swimming pool. And then the lake is about a 10-minute drive. And I'm bringing my boat. And one of my students, his name's Nick Nipper. He's bringing his boat too. So we'll have two boats. I'm going to charter that boat. He's going to charter his boat. we're gonna bring back a bunch of striped bass, and I'm gonna fillet that fucking shit for you guys, and we're gonna eat fucking fish that I cooked and cleaned with my bare hands.
That sounds so awesome.
Oh, it's awesome for sure, and it's probably gonna make fried bass is good. Striped bass is really good. It's like a big ass bass.
I told you, but I can throw down. I told him if you guys do some VIP thing, I'll cook for it. And he was like, "You're not cooking. Or you're a speaker. Just chill out." And I was like, "Well, just keep in mind if you need."
Okay,
anything.
let's make that a reality at this one, man.
Yeah. I got a couple skills in the kitchen.
I'm wondering what you've learned over the last few years that you and I have not spoken like on a podcast setting like this. Let's switch this back around to you, because I've just tried to give as much advice as I can. Normally, when the way these interviews go, I've always tried to get more out of you. I just haven't had my turn to talk, so I want to talk a little bit.
Yeah, no, I love that we're getting to catch up too on this.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So wholesaling is great. I've made a lot of money. Like, I did some really big deals, but like you said, I learned two really important things. Number one was money management, because my first year, I literally probably did over 500K, but I was just blowing money because I never had money, Yeah. And I was literally like just going somewhere and living in an Airbnb and then dealing with emotional things with the baby and the situation, and just not having a clear, sound mind and not having good people to lean on. I took this whole real estate thing and I just kind of isolated myself from everyone I knew. And I was just like, I'm just going to do this my way. And it's funny because on social media, like, I always post positively because I don't like to be like a sob story, Debbie Downer type of person. But I went through a lot emotionally in 2021. And then 2022, I was basically like, all right, enough feeling bad for yourself. And a couple mistakes that I made that I fixed was, number one, I really tried to start a rental property portfolio and it was really bad. So I got like 11 properties really fast.
Wow.
And they were in the hood in Cleveland and they all had different issues.
You bought them?
I bought them. Yeah.
Wow.
So I bought some of them with hard money loans and some of them cash. And the ones I bought with hard money loans, and then this is virtual. Like, I'm not even in Cleveland and I'm thinking I'm going to do all these virtual flips. And I got scammed like a lot. Contractors, deposits. Then
you get eaten up on those fees, dude.
The fees. And then unfortunately, I brought a friend into a deal who like only had saved up money for years. You know what I mean? Had like 40 grand and put 25 grand into this deal.
Ugh.
And it was like heartbreaking to not only lose my money, but to lose my friend's money. And that's when I was like, all right, you're doing this wrong because you don't have education. Like, I jumped in, and I mean, besides that hour and a half I spent with you, I never paid for education. I was just so hard-headed, and I was just like, I'm just going to do everything by myself. And I remember that day you also put me onto REI Sift. So I got with the program, and I'm, learning that system, and they had that summit. They had a mastermind kind of thing.
Huge shout out to Tyler Austin.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever paid for help. And I met like 18 other investors who, some are millionaires, some are doing crazy things, some are just wholesaling. And Tyler like looked into our businesses and just told us what we were doing wrong. And it was the first time that someone, you know what I mean, kind of put me in my place, as far as I just thought I was just winning and I was doing everything right and I could just figure everything out on my own. But when I really looked at it, I lost more deals than I closed because of inexperience and because I was too proud to go get help.
Dang.
Even though there was all this help out there and it wasn't even that expensive. If I did 38K my first month, why couldn't I go spend 5 of that to get help and get better?
Yep.
I just felt like kind of like you thought all these people are just doing it to make money. They're not going to give me anything valuable. I wasn't even using a CRM.
Oh, wow.
So paying for education was something big. I started going to whatever events, but it was COVID too, so it was kind of hard. I went to like one in Atlanta, but it was just little pieces of information I was able to gather from people. And then trying it and failing. And I would say the biggest progress that I've had is because of social media, being able to do JV deals. Since I'm already virtual and I'm already in different markets, people can bring me deals and I was able to help a lot of people do their first deals, and that
Wow.
felt really good too, because I'm making a big chunk of money. They're making a big chunk of money. And then after that, they're so grateful that they keep bringing me more deals. So that ended up being a really good lead pipeline for me.
Look at that. You know, and I'm telling you, man, the business is always going to be up and down. Where I failed too in the beginning was not paying for mentorship. I can't even take credit for that, by the way. I didn't even pay for my coach. When we paid for Preston, we had 40 grand in our account.
Wow.
He wanted 35 grand. That was all of our money. I told my partner, I said, dude, we can't do this. It's stupid. The fuck is this guy going to teach us? We need to use this money, put it into marketing, and find more houses and build more capital.
Yep.
And he says, Q, we're going to do this whether or not you like it or not. And in my head, I was like, okay, well, if you do that, we're going to have a problem. And literally this fucker buys the mentorship the next month, like the next day. I'm very thankful because even though we got into a huge fight about it, we went to El Paso. I broke my fear of flying, got on a plane.
Wow.
You know, I'd been on planes before, but I didn't have anxiety. I had anxiety when on the plane then. I don't have anxiety and depression anymore. It's gone. It's been gone for a long time. And I'm fucking thankful.
Amen.
There's a lot. Thank you for that.
Seriously. Because we talked about that a couple years ago too. So
Yeah.
I'm really happy for you.
It was real, you know? And so when I finally beat that demon, it's like you transcend into a whole different version of you. We went to that office, met him, saw all of his different companies. We match each other in companies. We have 18. I have 18. He has 18. Yeah.
And
it's
a lot
pretty
of his
dope.
are around real estate, and a lot of yours are around real estate, right?
Yeah. They're all like centered around real estate, of course. But his stuff is like he does way larger numbers than me. My mentor will probably be the first billionaire that is my actual friend. And I know this for a fact, and I love him to death. He came into my office and did a podcast with me recently, and it's just so much game, Tadi, to be honest. To be around people like that operate at that caliber. You know, every time I talk to Preston, we don't talk about money, almost ever. And if he mentors me in anything, it's always in just being structured and organized at all times and being a more heightened sense of a human being, like more than what we are. You know what I mean? And so business and mentorship go hand in hand. You are going to be a lot further in your life if you just applied yourself to somebody else's concepts who knows more than you. Preston knows more than any person I've ever met in my life. And he taught me these things. It's the 4 pillars of what it is to have a successful life. It's faith, family, fitness, and finance. Faith in your ability. Not only that, but faith in your God-given talents. Faith, family, full alignment with who it is that you're doing what with. Are they on the same page as you? It can be brother, sister, cousin, mother, wife, son, kid, XYZ. Who is in your proximity? Because that's where you're going to find your power. That's family. Fitness, it means what are you willing to put into your life? How are you fitting things into your life, and are they fitting correctly? No puzzle piece that's the wrong piece to a puzzle fits. You have to find where it fits in your life. That is fitness. It's not just your physical capabilities. It's understanding what the puzzle of your life is and how you can piece it together. And then the last one is finance. It's having full control of the amount of money that you wish to make and putting it at the top of the spectrum of how you choose to live your life. Mm-hmm. So if I want to travel and I want to make $100,000 a year, then how is that structured? Yeah. Because that's how we're going to base the other F's around it. He taught me that. And that's when I realized it was like, man, there's so much about life and people I didn't know. Yeah. But you learn, you know, so you needed help. I needed help. That was the best thing I call it a mistake because I didn't want the fucking mentorship, bro. That was one of the best things that I never wanted. And I know that sounds crazy, but like, I'm so thankful for it. And I'm so thankful to have someone like that in my life, you know, and I try to give what he teaches me and pour it into everybody else every other day. He never waves me around in front of a crowd and says that I made this man successful. Yeah. He knows that I was already on my way. He just gave me a boost. And I think that's probably the best thing that has ever happened to me, you know? So kudos to you for investing in mentorship and seeing that as a valuable asset to your business, because it truthfully is, bro. The moment that you stop learning is the moment that you start dying. 100%.
And that was the thing. Once I realized my biggest mistake was just thinking I know it all, which I still suffer from sometimes. I was like, all right, let me just get help. Let me read these books everyone keeps talking about. Let me, get out here and do what they're saying to do. I've always just been like action only and like no real structure. Like I'll be kind of disorganized and not really pay attention to the small details that add up. So that was a huge lesson for me, and things aren't perfect, but every day they get better. I think I finally got to a point where I was able to have a team that sticks around because they want to be there versus like because they're getting paid and they're begrudgingly doing the job. And I feel like I'm kind of forcing people to do things, not really leading, but just like micromanaging and not even showing them why we're doing this. You know, it's for them, it just stopped at the money they're getting paid every week or 2 weeks. And I had to realize we're not going to get anywhere. People kept leaving. It's like I spend so much time with someone, then they leave, and it kept happening over and over. And I still have a long way to go, but right now I think we finally have a solid team that likes to be there. When we have, you know, meetings, everyone's happy and catching up, and it's like we're friends, and everything's virtual, so it's different. You know, we don't ever get to meet each other, but being online and actually being friends with people you've never met in real life, it's really cool, and I'm really happy. And I will definitely continue to invest in myself because I know there's no other way to do it.
You know, for someone who is a keynote speaker at an event, because you really were in the crowd studying and learning the whole time.
I was definitely writing notes.
I saw you and I kept walking by and I was like, holy crap. I remember I walked up to Aaron and I was like, dude, Tadi's about this life, bro. Like, she's fucking in there learning, dude. She's like, I walked up to her and I was like, are you nervous? And you were like, a little bit, but I'm here learning. And you were like jotting down notes, and in my head I was like, damn, bro, that's what's up. You know what I mean? Like, there was a lot. I don't think any of our speakers were in the crowd. If they were studying how someone else is speaking. You
brought me here a couple years ago, and I learned so much that I literally learned one paragraph from your guys' script that changed my whole business. And I know that whoever you brought was going to have some incredible things to share. So I'm like, I'm listening. I'm paying attention. And it was funny because every time I'd go to the bathroom, people would kind of stop me and be like, can we take a picture? Or let's talk about virtual wholesaling and stuff. And I'm like, okay, great. And I would do the hallway thing too. But it's just some things that I couldn't miss, you know?
Yeah.
I had to see what RJ was going to talk about. I had to see what certain people
he's virtual too. That's cool.
Yeah. And I know like there's people that, like what he said, 86 deals in like, what was it, 90 days or whatever they did.
Wow.
Like, what the heck? Like, I gotta know how you did that. I gotta know what made you into this person. It's not just grind. It's not just hustle. A lot of people can sit on the phone for 90 days and not get 10 deals.
Yep, I agree completely. And I've seen it too. And it's draining. The business can be very draining. Yes. And it's daunting sometimes. You get into something and then you find a flow and you see some success. And it's like, you think it's going to be that way for a long time. And then it just goes up and down like a roller coaster. Exactly like that. And it's just, you know, that's why it's so imperative. I mentioned to you when we were off the podcast, I said business is 80% psychology, 20% the action that you take.
Yes.
It's true. I learned that from Tony Robbins. You know, he said that to us speaking on stage right in front of us, this powerful fucking guy. And it just like blew my mind because in my head I was like, man. And you know what's funny? You know why kids play? It's because they have fun. You know how well they communicate when they're able to do that? They don't look at each other's skin. They don't know anything about differences. They don't look at imperfections. They just have fun, right?
That's the truth. So
when you look at your environment and you look at what you create in business, how come adults don't have fun when they work with each other?
100%.
Because they forgot how to create the same way that they created when they were younger.
That's profound. And I remember telling you on Facebook one day after you started the e-com business, I was just like, I was really struggling with the psychology part of the business, like especially being a mom and these kids, you know, they want my attention all day and I'm trying to get these deals done. And I was just like, is there a light at the end of this tunnel kind of feeling? Yeah. And I saw you succeeding in so many different things. And I was just like, thank you for making me feel like there is a light at the end of the tunnel for like, we make money, we can save money, but sometimes you just don't know what to do next. Like, is there another business or is this what I'm going to be doing forever? And I have found that I can still have a wholesaling business, a real estate business, an investing business.
Yeah.
And I don't have to do every single thing in it. And I can still do other things that I actually like. Like, yeah. I like to be creative and write and talk and, you know, have fun, like you said. So I started to try to do more of that. And it's funny because having fun did make my wholesaling business better.
It did. It's crazy. You know, Tadi, I promise you, when you shift your focus from how many deals you can do versus how many deals can you help other people do, that's when the change is going to happen, man. because that's what happened to me.
I love
you know,
that.
and now, like, dude, I have clients. I have a friend, he spoke on stage, who lost 400 pounds. His name's Anthony Lopez. His brand is called Heavy to Modified. This dude skyrocketed up to the top of the food chain on presence.
Wow.
But he ain't ever been a business owner before. He'd been an entrepreneur. He had hustles. He sold vape pens, and then in school he sold candy. And, you know, he worked at a car shop, and he did raps professionally, you know. But he never thought that what he had did with the weight loss was going to be something that was going to blow up. He was just documenting it for himself. And so it put him on Steve Harvey's show, on Men's Health magazine.
Wow.
On like multiple podcasts. Joe Rogan is talking to him, getting him on the podcast. He's been on Andy Frisella 75 Hard podcast. He like has all this proximity that he's never learned how to capitalize on, because he doesn't know the structure. He doesn't understand how to fully put it into a business. He just launched his first coaching program. Mind you, at first he was just doing the presence thing, right?
Yeah.
And so he has about $10,000 in passive income coming every single month for him and his wife, and his camera guy. And they do this shit full time now. He coaches people 6 days out of the week on how to lose weight. And his students are very successful, you know? So he's learning and growing in the space. I'm excited to see you, by the way, Anthony, grow. I love you, dude. You're amazing. And, you know, it's really cool. He had never spoke on a stage before. You know how we became friends? I messaged him online and told him about how I lost weight. And I sent him a before and after, and he replied to me. And then I messaged him back, and we became friends. Next thing you know, we traded fucking phone numbers, and now we do all of his production.
That's amazing. Off a DM.
It's like insane, man. You know, but I'm going to help him make millions of dollars. Will I get a piece of it? I don't even know, but I'm going to damn well try, because I know if I help him make $1 million, I'll help myself make $1 million too.
100%.
Because the glory of one person is bound with the glory of all.
Your weight loss story is crazy too.
I'm working on it. It's still a work in progress. And I know you've lost weight tremendously before.
Yep.
And you're doing it again, going through pregnancy again, right? Yeah. It's the hardest thing that you'll ever do in your life. I've built businesses that make millions of dollars, bro. You can skip the line in that. You can't skip the line at the gym. Even if you hire a trainer, you still have to push yourself through that workout, man. The economy can change in a business, bro. And literally every single thing in a business can go wrong in one fucking day. But when you go to the gym, 225 pounds will always be 225 pounds. 100%. That is the thing that will never change. So you can't fuck with that variable. The only variable that you have in there is your mindset and what you're able to put into it. That actually bleeds into what you do in business. You start realizing that business is 225 pounds. And my capability of being able to lift that weight is fully dependent on my level of psychological awokeness that allows for me to persist.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of grit, there's a lot of focus, and there's a lot of mental fortitude. That's what it takes to be a business owner. And people don't know that, man. And that's why the weak ones get washed up.
100%.
And you just gotta be okay with that too. Because people are gonna come into your life and they're not ready to. They're not vibrating
I'll
at
do
your
it
level.
again. It's going to be easy, but it's not easy. It's still just as hard as it was the freaking first time.
And you're going to probably restructure what you got 1 million times over, you know, because it's never over, man. It's never over. There's always going to be another struggle. But I'm happy for the amount of success that you've had throughout this time frame. You're doing amazing things, Tadi. For everybody that's watching right now, where can they find you and follow you on social media?
I'm mainly on Instagram at Tadi Virtual. I do TikTok, YouTube, all platforms. It's Tadi Virtual. And I mean, thank you for this opportunity.
Of course.
I'm not really like pushing the coaching thing or anything right now. I'm super focusing on personal development. I'm focusing on the students that I do have, making sure they're all doing really good. I had 3 really young Black girls. 2 of them are moms, and the 3 of them did over $1 million in the last 6 months in assignment.
Wow,
fees.
Let's go.
Yeah, so just seeing that, I'm able to pour into these people. They're doing crazy things. I really want to focus on person by person, helping them grow, because it is a mental challenge. And I see like after they break through and they're like, how grateful they are, and then how fast their life changes. And then I see them kind of go through the same things that I went through, like blowing a bunch of money. And, it's really funny how we all do the same thing, but it's rewarding. And then looking at them, I see more things in myself I need to continue to improve. So I'm gonna continue dropping free game. I do a lot of free lives and stuff like that, so you guys could catch me anytime.
I love it. Thank you so much for being another guest on my podcast, Tadi.
Thank you.
You guys make sure you subscribe and follow my homie Tadi for all things real estate. She's an amazing knowledge. She's a knowledge bomb, man. So just make sure you go and pick her brain, all right? Love you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Let's get it.